Hey guys, I'm Emily, I'm a lawyer, and today I want to talk about productivity lessons that I probably learned a little too late into my career, but you know what? I've taken these L's so that you don't have to. So the first one that comes to mind is what I would call, I'm sure there's some sort of psychological theory for this, but I would call it the productivity fallacy. And what I mean by that is oftentimes I'll have a list of tasks, some of course more urgent, some less urgent, and the less urgent ones are often the ones that I'm more willing to do. And so I'll take care of the less urgent tasks. And because I did those tasks, I feel like I'm being productive. Meanwhile, the more urgent tasks and the things that actually move the needle are being neglected. So, something I've done in order to really work around this is now every day I will write down my single most urgent and or time sensitive task, and I don't allow myself to do anything else until I've handled this one task. And that way I've been able to better make sure that the things that actually move the needle are getting done, and I'm not neglecting things just because I don't want to do them as eagerly as I would the less urgent tasks. Now, some days, if I'm feeling really shitty, I might just do one or two of my less urgent tasks just to kind of get the ball rolling. I do find that sometimes I've definitely seen plenty of videos where it's like, do the thing you want to do least first. And I find that this isn't necessarily the most effective because then I'm just going to procrastinate more. Like, I think doing one or two less urgent tasks to kind of get myself moving and build some momentum is helpful. But if I go a whole day neglecting the stuff that I don't want to do that's more urgent, then I'm really not changing anything. Number two is treat negative feedback as information and not a threat. I noticed in the past I had a tendency to treat negative feedback subconsciously as a reflection of my worth or my capabilities. And I realized that even though that feels humble on the surface, it's actually selfish because I'm depriving myself of the opportunity to get better, and I'm depriving the other party of the ability to get a better work product. And so very much just reframing negative feedback as, okay, this is information in order for me to be able to do something better. For example, I create content for brands on an app called Tribe. If you're interested, the link's in the description. And particularly with Tribe, sometimes I'll have videos that don't perform well. And when I first joined Tribe, I would really feel down when videos wouldn't perform well, whereas now I just treat it as information. If I don't treat it as a threat, I'm not going to fall into this emotional doom spiral, and instead just look at it objectively and say, okay, well, what do I need to do different here? Maybe look at some other top creators who their content worked and see, okay, well, what's the difference between what they're doing versus what I did with this video, and how can I use that to make things better? Also, not for nothing, even in my day job, just kind of having a more objective approach to negative feedback has just overall made me so much more productive because I really underestimated the extent to which doom spiraling was really eating up my day. And I feel like it sounds silly saying it out loud, but emotional reactions to situations really take a deeper toll than they seem. The next one is using discomfort as a compass. Now, I've only really accepted this, I would say, uncomfortable truth over the past 48 hours because I've noticed that whenever we avoid things that we probably should be addressing, and for whatever reason we don't want to, and try to sweep it under the rug, I've noticed that life just has a tendency to regurgitate those same tests, and if we keep ignoring them, they'll come back in a way that is so intense that we will have no choice but to address them. For example, last night, as I'm filming this, it's a Sunday morning, or actually a little after morning, but as I'm filming this, last night, I basically just wrote down a list of all the things that I've been procrastinating on, and they're all things that are really important, but I've just been ignoring because they make me feel uncomfortable. And even this morning, for example, and I actually thought it ended up being pretty funny, I was really avoiding filming this funny TikTok concept that I had that was had to do with filming in a gym setting. Now, of course, for me, I feel really strongly about being as respectful as I can filming in public spaces. So this morning I got up at 6:30. At 6:55ish, I went down to the gym in my building. Lo and behold, there was no one there, so I just went ahead and started filming and was fully prepared to stop if I needed to if someone else came in. But this was a video concept that I had in mind for a couple weeks now, and I was just afraid to act on it because, one, there was the legitimate logistical roadblock of, wanting to film it in a way that's respectful to other people, but more importantly, the fear of being judged if someone saw me filming myself working out. And so, yeah, I don't think it's that difficult to be respectful when filming in public, but, there were a lot of layers there. And so this morning, when I woke up, I was still thinking like, I don't really know if I want to do this. And I thought, you know what, screw it. That discomfort is my compass to go and do it. And I felt a lot better afterwards. And even if that video ends up flopping, at least I can feel good about the fact that I was afraid to do something and I did it anyways. And my last item that I have for you guys is stop bottling up negative emotions and allow yourself to fully process them. A psychologist friend of mine said something really interesting a couple years ago that still sticks with me. She said, emotions are like a beach ball. The more you try to push them underwater, the more intense they will come back at you. The most vivid example I can think of is a week before the bar exam, the guy I was dating at the time ghosted me. And I really liked him. In hindsight, it definitely was not meant to be, and I'm at peace with that. But at the time, I was definitely pretty devastated, and so I decided to give myself a day to just be sad about it. And it felt kind of counterintuitive because it was literally the Friday before the bar exam. It was over 2 years ago now. But I figured I cannot let the past 2 months of work go to waste because my emotions are messing with me. And I think giving myself that day to rest, and I very much followed the advice of many mentors who said, the week before, kind of start to ease up on your studying to make sure that you're in the right headspace for the exam. But by allowing myself to properly just feel the emotions and work through them, I think definitely allowed me to succeed as best as I could on the bar exam. I ended up passing with flying colors, so, maybe that ghosting was the rage I needed to actually power through. Who knows? But either way, I've noticed in the past, I just had a tendency to bottle up negative emotions because I would tell myself that I was weak or I just didn't want to deal with it. And I found sometimes, even though it feels counterproductive, just taking that time really goes a long way. Anyways, I'd love to hear any of your thoughts in the comments, or maybe any things that you maybe feel like you learned a little late, or what you think of my list. Also, I decided to start my own book club. So link is in the description. If you're interested, once a week I'll send out an email with reading recommendations, what I'm reading. No, I'm not just gonna stick to legal books. I feel like I spend enough time thinking about the law when I'm not working that I don't need to really lean into legal books that much. But if you're interested, links in the description. If you're not already following me on Instagram and TikTok, be sure to do so for up-to-date dark humor. And I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.